Her body remained on public display 160 years after her death, and almost no one knows about it. August 9, 2002. Her name was Saartjie Baartman, born in South Africa at the turn of the 19th century. She belonged to the Khoikhoi people, an ancient culture that both fascinated and horrified European colonists. Lured by false promises of wealth, she was taken to London in 1810. Upon arrival, she found no fame, but rather a dark and twisted system of slavery and exploitation. Her captors contemptuously baptized her the Hottentot Venus. She was forced to parade inside cages for the high British aristocracy. Her body was the ultimate spectacle. They touched her, mocked her, and exhibited her as a freak of nature. When the English public lost interest, Saartjie was sold to an animal exhibitor in Paris. Conditions worsened brutally, enduring long hours in the bitter cold and absolute misery. European scientists, such as Georges Cuvier, studied her while she was alive, driven by a horrifying clinical racism. They sought to justify abhorrent theories of racial superiority by measuring every inch of her being. Saartjie died in 1815, at just 26 years old, sick, alone, and far from home. But her torment did not end with her final breath. Cuvier, obsessed, dissected her corpse without a shred of consent or respect. Her brain, her skeleton, and her genitals were extracted, stuffed into jars, and displayed at the Museum of Mankind in Paris. A macabre, dehumanizing exhibition kept in plain sight for the general public. She remained there until 1974, while humanity was launching rockets into space. She was still locked in a glass display case. For decades, activists and human rights defenders demanded the return of her remains. France systematically refused, claiming the remains were untouchable and a vital part of their scientific heritage. It took the fall of apartheid and the direct intervention of a historic leader to change the tide. Nelson Mandela issued a formal petition in the 1990s, demanding her immediate repatriation. The French government blocked the process for nearly a decade, terrified of setting a precedent for other historical restitutions. Ultimately, immense international and diplomatic pressure forced France to yield and rewrite its laws. In 2002, Saartjie's remains crossed the ocean, returning to the land that was stolen from her. On South Africa's National Women's Day, she was welcomed with full honors and a state funeral. Her grave was covered with sacred herbs in the serene valley of the Gamtoos River. A woman who endured the darkest depths of colonial cruelty finally found peace and reclaimed her dignity. Colonialism stole her life, but it could never steal her rightful place in history. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. If history moves you as deeply as it moves us, subscribe to The Day Everything Changed, so you never miss a single event that shaped our world.